On today's show, the LA Clippers dropped their fourth straight game. Is it time to panic? Going to be talking about what went wrong and what we need to do to change things on today's Locked On Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir. You are locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team, every day. I'm Darian Vaziri, born and raised in LA, been a Clipper fan for 21 years, been covering the team on my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for 6 and 4 right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Your team every day. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know every single time we post a video on the road to 8,000 subscribers before the month ends. And this episode is also brought to you by Game Time, the best place to get great deals last minute on tickets. So just download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Clipper Nation, we have lost 4 straight games. I'm going to be talking about why this is just not good enough, why the performance against Phoenix on Saturday night was not good enough. What's holding us back right now, and some of the questionable decisions from Ty Lue. Now, let's begin with what happened. We're playing the Phoenix Suns for the second straight game. Kawhi Leonard is out because of an ankle injury, now missing his third straight game, and we have lost all 3. This one by a score of 114-103. One of the biggest advantages of this season going into it was that we played the Phoenix Suns, who were projected to be lower than us for sure, let alone maybe not even make the play-in, as some people had projected them before the season. We were playing them 3 times in a row. 3 times in the first 9 games. A third of our games were coming against them, and we had to win all 3. And we've won the one with Kawhi, but the 2 without Kawhi, we've lost. And I think the one at Phoenix is whatever. We didn't have Bradley Beal either, but this last one on Saturday was despicable. 4 straight losses, Clipper Nation. Is it time to panic? Depends what you want out of this season. If you think we could get a top 3 seed or want a top 3 seed and you think that's very imperative for us to contend, then yeah, it's panic time. Even top 4, it might be panic time. But to make the playoffs, to make the play-in, no. We still don't have Kawhi Leonard. This injury should not be that bad, according to Ty Lue. But we are clearly having trouble winning games without him. And in this game, we just weren't good enough in any aspect. Rebounding, we got killed on the offensive glass, 13-5. Let's just start with that. Nobody besides Ivica Zubac is crashing the boards consistently. Nobody's boxing out. There's no attention to rebounding at all. And if you do not rebound, you will not win. No rebounds, no rings. It's become excessive this season that we have not boxed out, even more so than last season. And besides Ivica Zubac, who got 15 rebounds in this game, he had the majority of our rebounds. We had 27 as a whole. He had 15 of them. The Suns had 42 rebounds. You can talk about athleticism and age all you want, but there's a consistent theme in all these games that we are not rebounding as much as the other team. So if we want to win, we need to rebound. Now, one thing that could help with that is John Collins getting more minutes. Another game where I thought John Collins gave us a solid boost off the bench. He was our second leading scorer in the game with 19 points on an incredibly efficient 67, 100 splits. That's 8 for 12 from the field, 2 for 3 from deep, and made his only free throw. But he only played 28 minutes again. He did not log 30 minutes, and he hasn't all season long, which is definitely a mistake that Ty Lue was making, which we'll talk about later. But 19 points, 4 boards, 2 assists, a steal, and finally taking care of the basketball with 0 turnovers for John Collins. So that is just one thing that would help with the glass. But everybody else needs to have a much better collective effort of boxing out, and that includes our guards like James Harden and Bradley Beal. So that's one of the biggest reasons we lost. We couldn't rebound. Or we didn't rebound, however you want to put it. Defensively, we were also not good enough. So far this season, we are 26th in defensive rating. Last year, we were 3rd. It is a drop-off of a century. To begin this game, we had James Harden on Dylan Brooks, DJ on Devin Booker, Zubac on Mark Williams, Chris Dunn on Jalen Green, and we started Chris Dunn instead of Nico Batum in this game. So it's really a 3-guard lineup. James Harden, Chris Dunn, and Bradley Beal alongside Derrick Jones Jr. and Ivica Zubac. Your second tallest guy in that lineup is 6'5" or 6'6" on a good day with Derrick Jones Jr. That's pretty small. There's no reason why without Kawhi Leonard, John Collins shouldn't be starting. On the other side, they had Dylan Brooks guarding Harden, Mark Williams on Ivica Zubac, Grayson Allen on Bradley Beal, Devin Booker on Kevin Durant. I put KD. I do that all the time. On Chris Dunn and Jalen Green on DJ. Every single big was in drop coverage for the most part. Ivica Zubac, Brook Lopez, Mark Williams, Nick Richards. I thought to start the game, Bradley Beal was poor on both ends of the floor. Defensively, he's gambling constantly. Yeah, he was playing a little more aggressive, but he's constantly reaching, whether it be getting over a screen or on the ball. He's also not alert off the ball. A lot of the miscommunications I've noticed in the beginning of this season have come from him not talking or him being involved in them. He and James Harden starting together in a backcourt is not good enough defensively. You know, you might be wondering, well, last year you had Norm and Harden. Fact of the matter is, whether you want to talk about Norm not being very alert on his rotations, he was much more alert and high effort than Bradley Beal on that end of the floor. And I warned everybody about Bradley Beal's defense before the season started, but Ty Lue said if he guards good players, he'll be more engaged. He's looking like, again, exactly what I saw in Phoenix. He's just kind of going through the motions. Just kind of going through the motions. It's whatever for him. It's not horrific. It's not good. It's a little below average right now with Bradley Beal on defense. And then James Harden, absolutely atrocious defensive game. His worst of the season. Now, granted, he was playing through illness, but it's not like we see James Harden not have bad games on defense when he's healthy. Was not bending his knees at all, was getting blown by left and right, and Phoenix was smart to target him. If I were other teams, I would just target James Harden a lot more because he does so much on offense, especially with the way Chris Paul and Bogey have disappointed to start the season, and they weren't even in the rotation in this game, which was crazy. We had Cam Christie play, which I loved, but to have neither of them in the rotation without Kawhi, it puts a lot on James Harden to create shots. So again, that's a tie decision that we'll talk about later, but James Harden was pathetic defensively, to be honest with you. He got blown by left and right. You could say he was sick, but I'm just not going to use that because I thought that James Harden made some good plays offensively, even though it wasn't a good game from him, and we needed a better game from him if we were going to win. But it's just that James Harden, it's not like he always plays well defensively. Like, that's out of character for him. That's why I'm not using it. But I'm not saying he didn't contribute. But he wasn't good enough defensively. Neither was Bradley Beal. And, that's all I got in terms of the people that stood out defensively in a bad sense. But the Suns were also shooting well again. At halftime, we were 1 for 14 from 3, and they were 9 for 20 or 9 for 21 from 3. That's at halftime. And at the end of the game, we finished shooting 53% from the field. They shot 48%, but the three-point disparity was major. We shot 30% from 3, 10 for 33, and they shot 16 for 38, which is good for 42%, and they got to the free throw line 3 more times than we did, and we shot a putrid 61% from the foul line, 11 for 18. They shot 86% from the foul line, 18 for 21. Derrick Jones Jr. was 3 for 5. Ivica Zubac was 1 for 2. James Harden was 3 for 4. Chris Dunn was 0 for 2. We were outscored 35-29 in the first quarter. Again, another not-so-good start that puts us in a little bit of a hole. We were down 14 at the half. We got outscored 25-17 in the second quarter. We were not hitting shots to save our lives. We also did not go, in my opinion, enough into Brook Lopez when they were switching 1 through 5, the Suns, in their second unit. Brook Lopez had mismatches and scored on 3 out of 3 of them, and James Harden continued to still trying to kind of do his own thing and take some step-back contested threes. I also thought we took some really bad threes in the first half. There's no reason Derrick Jones Jr. should be shooting contested threes off the dribble. There's no reason why John Collins, after several dribbles, is shooting a contested turnaround jumper in the corner. Like, we just had bad shot selection, too, that contributed to that bad shooting. So all in all, and then James Harden's the only one that's getting 2 feet in the paint, but even he was settling too much. He shot 4 for 15 in the game and was 2 for 10 from 3. So 10 of his 15 shots were threes, and he made 2 of them, which is just settling too much, which you could possibly contribute to his sickness. So 46-60 down at the half. We made a run in the second half, outscored them 34-25 in the third. And the third quarter has been our Achilles heel so far this season, so it was nice to see that. We cut it down to a 5-point game going into the fourth quarter. And then, we were getting close. We were playing through Ivica Zubats, and maybe it was his best stretch of the season where he was actually demanding the ball, getting it in the post, making plays. Nico Batum hit 3 straight threes, which was such a welcome sight. And we got it down to 96 to, sorry, yeah, 96 to 101, and even had it at 106 to 101. But then we had a bad stretch where James Harden threw a really bad pass from the top of the key. Nico Batum was able to chase down Dylan Brooks' layup, but the Suns got the ball out of bounds, and then Devin Booker had an and one against Chris Dunn, a very ticky-tack foul, put them back up by 8, and then James shot a logo 3. So I thought him going away from Zoo when Zoo was working was just a really bad decision. I'm not saying it cost us the game, but it killed any chance of a comeback. But overall, if you look at every single category, offensively, were we good enough? No, we're not making our open shots. We don't have Kawhi Leonard, and defensively we weren't good enough. Bradley Beal and James Harden were atrocious. We're not boxing out and rebounding. And when you talk about last year with Norman Powell and Harden, it wasn't just Norman Powell and Harden. You had Derrick Jones and Chris Dunn starting a lot of games together. You had them doing that in this game as well. But as I said, Norman Powell was more alert than Bradley Beal on that end of the floor, the Bradley Beal we're seeing right now. And I thought James Harden also last year was more engaged to start the season defensively, as engaged as you can be. I wasn't really complaining about him defensively. Now, granted, he's playing with 4 pretty solid defenders, or 3 outside of Norman Powell, but I thought his effort level on that end was better, although he is a year older, so it might be normal. But, we had Derrick Jones Jr. and Chris Dunn in this game. It wasn't like they were bad defensively, but we got to do a better job on the glass. And I'm saying having Beal and Harden start the game, it's pretty risky defensively. And you got to give the Suns credit. Their guys are making open threes. Even Grayson Allen is hitting off the dribble threes. Royce O'Neal had 12 points, made 4 threes. Grayson Allen had 14 points, made 4 threes. Colin Gillespie was amazing. I'm surprised how good he is. 13 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and made 4 threes. So their role players also just outplaying ours. But coming up, going to be talking about something that's really holding the team back, and it has to do with Bradley Beal. Going to be talking about that coming up. I got to tell you a little something about Robin Hood. Your ambition just met its match. With Robin Hood, you play for the win. Not just on game day, every day. Locking in on every opening. Beating your personal record. Beating it again. Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood Legends advanced tools, or taking advantage of the new Robinhood strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself. Expect more from your money. Get started today at robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. I got to tell you a little something about Game Time. Game Time is the best place to get great deals last minute on tickets. Basketball season is officially here, and nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. But let's be real. Getting tickets can be a total headache. Between waiting in queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before checkout, it's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team. That's where Game Time comes in, the app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NBA tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. You can even find NBA tickets for under $25. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. All right, Clipper Nation, we lost this one 114 to 103 to the Phoenix Suns. As far as Phoenix, they were making shots. We'll give it to them, but Something that's really holding us back right now is Bradley Beal's minutes restriction. He finally, after a bad first half, started playing well in the second half. He had 8 points in the third quarter, made 2 straight threes, and we were down by 18. We answered with a 10-0 run that started with Harden creating shots in pick and roll, and Beal hit 2 threes as a result of those. But he didn't even play in the fourth quarter. He played 20 minutes in the game. Every single game he's played this season has been capped at either 20 or 21 minutes. So, what can you really do with that? He can't get into any rhythm. When he is getting into a rhythm, he gets taken out of the game and he doesn't come back in. It's like not even having him on the team at this point. And the whole thing with getting rid of Norman Powell and getting John Collins, first of all, we're not even playing John Collins enough. Secondly, Bradley Beal was supposed to fill that void. And he has not even close to fill that void, while Norman Powell over there in Miami has the most points ever for a Miami Heat player in their first 6 games. So right now we're missing that void that Norman Powell has left desperately. And it's not totally Bradley Beal's fault because he's on this minutes restriction, but my goodness. I mean, I don't know when it's going to end because it really limits him. We need more shot creation and shot making around Harden. That game was just not good enough offensively. Wasn't good enough in any aspect. But for him to finally get going and have 8 points in the third quarter, and then he doesn't get a minute in the fourth quarter because of this minutes restriction, I mean, we clearly just can't, it's hard to replace Kawhi that way. And when we're talking about the lack of offense and stuff like that, in the fourth quarter, Brook Lopez played 2 minutes, but then the rest of the guys played the whole quarter. Chris Dunn, James Harden, John Collins, and Nico all played the entire fourth quarter, and then we had Zubats play the 10 minutes and 5 seconds, without Brook Lopez in there, and we only scored 23 points. It wasn't good enough. It wasn't good enough in any aspect. But the Bradley Beal minutes restriction is really hurting us. Really hurting us. And I don't think he played well in the first half by any means. But, my takeaways after the first quarter were that Beal and Harden were struggling to guard and we weren't rebounding and we weren't talking enough. And then in the second quarter, it was we had a 6-0 run to start the quarter. John Collins made a nice impact and was finishing around the basket. And I thought DJ did a really solid job on Devin Booker throughout the game. Did a good job of not falling for his pump fakes in isolation. And Ivica Zubac actually started hedging the screens with Book so he could not have that pull-up 3, but those other guys make shots. When you throw 2 guys on the ball in pick and roll and Devin Booker's making the right read, now you're 4-on-3 on the backside and the Suns were making 3s. So that's just how good Devin Booker is. But yeah, Gillespie had 12 points at halftime. So he's making more shots than any of our role players outside of, maybe John Collins in that respect. But I also thought, as I said in the first segment, we had too many contested jumpers, which was contributing to our poor percentage from 3 in that first half. And as I said, second half, we cut it down to 5. Brook Lopez was getting the ball in those mismatches, and he was actually looking really solid in isolation. But I think we need to, especially in games that Kawhi doesn't play, but also even in games that he does play, if they switch a small onto Lopez and Zoo, they're both capable of getting a bucket. It's going to save Harden's legs, so he needs to continue to look for them, or else he's just going to tire himself out. And also part of the reason why we got back in the game is the Suns finally cooled down a bit. But we weren't rebounding enough in the fourth. And as I said, I thought Harden made some bad decisions late in the game. But the Bradley Beal thing is it's really hurting us. Really hurting us. So, in this game, for example, 12 points, 3 assists, 1 turnover. He had no rebounds, by the way. 4 for 9 from the field and 2 for 4 from 3. It's just, we clearly don't have, I don't know who's prescribing that minutes restriction or assigns that, if it's the medical team, if it's his medical staff. Does he have his own medical staff like Kawhi? I don't even know. But if Bradley Beal is on a minutes restriction and he was brought in to replace Norman Powell and he isn't able to really be an NBA player where he's, doesn't have a cap on his minutes, Harden has to play great or else we're not going to win without Kawhi. It's really that simple. Because Zoo, we had a much better Zoo game. He finally looked aggressive. He was 10 for 12, and that's still not enough shots in my opinion. And there's times where he can go up as well when he gets an offensive rebound where he can just go up strong and he's been a little hesitant. But still, that was the right approach. That was treading in the right direction with him. 21 points, 15 boards, 4 assists, did turn the ball over 3 times. But as a team, we turned the ball over a lot less in this game. We only turned the ball over 11 times. The Suns actually turned the ball over more than we did with 14. So that's a plus. That's a pro. Hopefully we can continue that against Atlanta. But Zoo with 21, 15, and 4 on 10 for 12 shooting. Bradley Beal, I already talked about. James Harden, 13 points, 13 assists, 3 turnovers. So he actually took better care of the ball. But he was 4 for 15 from the field and 2 for 10 from 3. So moral of the story, the Beal minutes restriction thing is a major problem. Major. And he's just got to be better too. If he's only going to get 20 minutes, you've got to be better in those minutes, especially defensively. But coming up, we're going to analyze Ty Lue's decisions a little bit more and how they impacted the team. I got to tell you a little something about FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. You see, the NBA is back. And there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is making that late push. And right now, it depends. It's not even just NBA. You can also bet on NFL. We are in the middle of week number 11 in the NFL, if I'm not mistaken, or I think week 10 actually in the NFL. We got Monday Night Football, Philadelphia Eagles and Green Bay Packers. The Packers are -1.5. And as far as NBA, right now the Thunder are heavy favorites to go back-to-back with plus 210 odds. Where do you go for to place these bets? FanDuel. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, Clipper Nation. I got something to tell you as well. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers your first listen of the day. And thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. All right, Clippers lose 114 to 103. We dropped to 3-6. We've now lost 4 straight games, and it kills me that we've lost 2 in a row to the Suns. And I think partially, we talked about James Harden having a poor game, taking some bad shots, taking too many threes, maybe not feeding Brook Lopez enough, playing bad defense. We talked about Bradley Beal's poor first half, especially defensively, gambling too much, not making shots. We had some pros. Nico making the 3-ball again. John Collins, another solid performance. I did see one time, though, John Collins did cut when it was crowded in the paint already, which is one of the points that Ty Lue was making as to why he's not playing as much. But still, there's just too many good things that John Collins is doing that negate that. And then Derrick Jones Jr., he shot poorly in this game. 2 for 7 from the field, 0 for 4 from 3, 3 for 5 from the free throw line, and I thought partially he was taking some bad threes. He needs to be wide open when he shoots it. Semi-contested at best, not off the dribble. So he didn't shoot well, but Zubats had a really good game with 21 and 15 and 4. Harden had a double-double. Bradley Beal had 12. Chris Dunn had 6 points, 2 rebounds, 3 dimes, 2 steals, 2 turnovers on 3 for 5 shooting and 0 for 1 from 3. And Nico, as I said, hit the 3 threes. He had 9 points, 3 rebounds, and was 3 for 7 from the field, and all his shots were threes. He also had a steal and 2 blocks to go along with 2 turnovers. And then Brook Lopez had 8 points and 2 blocks on 4 for 5 shooting, 0 for 1 from 3. So that means he was 4 for 4 inside the arc, and he didn't turn the ball over, which is a lot more of what you want to see from Brook Lopez. And it starts with getting him the ball on those mismatches. That turnaround bank shot he has off one leg is Dirk Nowitzki reminiscent, and it's amazing when he makes it. And also a guy who played in this game and looks like he might be part of the rotation going forward, played for the second straight game, was Cam Christie, which I don't mind at all. He had 8 points, 3 boards, 1 block, and no turnovers on 3 for 5 shooting, 1 for 3 from deep, and 1 for 2 from the foul line. So we actually got decent performances from some of our role players. The Suns had 40 points off the bench. We had 44 points off the bench. So they had 42 points. We had 44 points off the bench. So our bench actually won that battle, but fine margins. They had Booker leading the way with 21. We had Zubac leading the way with 21. But Mark Williams gave them 19. Our second leading scorer was John Collins, gave us 19, but he came off the bench. So that goes into the 2 big decisions to talk about in this game. 1, John Collins, again, getting limited burn. 19 points, 4 boards, 2 assists and a steal on, as I said, 8 for 12 shooting and 2 for 3 from deep. It's becoming inexcusable at this point. It's reminiscent of Robert Covington. He's doing too much on the glass. He's finishing stronger on the basket. He gives us extra size. Okay, he might not be the most mobile defender, but he's getting paid $26 million, and we traded Norman Powell for him. There's no excuses anymore. Ty's got to play him at least 30 minutes in one freaking game, especially with Kawhi out and Beal on a minutes restriction. It's not rocket science. Nico Batum only got 3 less minutes than John Collins, and John Collins is 28 years old, 29? Let's see. He's 28. And Nico Batum is 40. I mean, what's good with that? And then to not play Bogey or Chris Paul is a little excessive. I'm okay with one of them not playing, but we needed more shot creation with Kawhi out, and we're just going to need a ball handler off the bench. I saw us go to Beal a little bit as that second ball handler, but we need a little bit more. So that was a little bit excessive. Ty Lue is just not hitting on anything right now, if I'm being honest. It's just tinkering Ty. He's got to use the first 10 games to experiment. It's tinkle Ty right now because we're 3-6, pissing all over ourselves. And if you want to say, as I talked about, it's not panic time if we want to make the playoffs, and that's our bare minimum. But this is a joke start to the season, and it began in that first game against Utah. Because when you Kawhi Leonard, we know is injury prone. So when he's playing, we need to take every advantage of every single one of those games, especially when he's fully healthy. And to come out like that against Utah was despicable and showed that this team was not as serious as I thought they were going to be. 3-6 through 9 games. We got gifted an easy start to the schedule. I'm looking like a clown. Chris Paul is way worse than I thought he was going to be. Brook Lopez is about what I thought. Nico has been worse than what I thought. Beal on a minutes restriction, I thought he was going to be okay to start the season. He's clearly not. And John Collins is being criminally underused. Derek has been what I think, honestly, maybe even better. Chris Dunn has been exactly what I thought he would be, maybe even a little bit better in terms of the way he's shooting the ball to start the season. But Bogey's been awful. Chris Paul's been the most disappointing of all. And I think Kawhi Leonard and Harden have had some disappointing games. But Ty Lue's also just not been good. And it's not just been the too many options. It's just been not using John Collins we traded Norman Powell for. It's insane. I'm not calling for his head, but because I don't think changing the coach is going to change much, except for maybe Collins will play more. But this team is old. You know what I'm saying? We're not athletic. We're not spry. We need at least a full version of Bradley Beal to be able to win games without Kawhi. And honestly, without Kawhi, I mean, how good are we? I don't know. I really don't know. But John Collins not playing a lot makes us miss Norm even more. That's what I'll tell you. And Ty Lue's just so lax. This whole experimentation thing, we're 3-6. I thought we were going to be 7-3 through the first 10 games, and now you got me looking like a clown. Every time I have any expectations for the Clippers, they always fall short. It's always when I have no expectations like last season where we overachieve. But here's the bright side. We were 3-7 in 2024, and we went on an insane run after that, 26-5. Probably the best stretch in Clipper history where we looked the best. But we also kind of had what was close to a super team with 3 stars. Our third best player was Paul George, and he actually made the All-Star team because James Harden ended up, if you combine the playoffs, was better than him that year. That was the first time where I was like, damn, we have so much talent. We have 3 stars. Then we have Zubats and Norman Russ off the bench. I was like, damn, it's going to be hard for us to lose any games. And it was the first time I ever felt like that as a Clipper fan. And Paul George, I definitely think, was fairly an all-star that year. He had one of the most efficient years. He had the most efficient year of his career in terms of shooting the ball. But we don't have 3 stars anymore. And we are older. So, and you can argue the West is better than in 2024. So we need to pick it up. And that comes with the team having a better collective effort rebounding. Defensively, they've got to be better, especially Bradley Beal and James Harden. Although I expect Beal to be a little better because Harden is already carrying a big load offensively and he's never been known for his defense. We need to continue to build off of what we saw from Zoo in that last game, for sure, against Atlanta. Every time he's got smaller guys on him, we got to go at Zoo and Lopez. We got to get Bogey or Chris Paul playing. It's got to be Bogey most likely. We can go 10 deep right now, especially with Beal on a minutes restriction. And can we get Collins to play 30 minutes? And I think Harden will be better against Atlanta. I think he's due for a good game. So that we'll see. And by the way, if you want to see my view from the game, from the wall, and the Clipper fans' thoughts after the game, check out my vlog on Dime Dropper. It's out now. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Dime Dropper Pod. By the way, my Twitter is back. I got it reinstated. I got back into my account, so it's an absolute blessing. And of course, Locked On Clippers, wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to the Dime Dropper YouTube, subscribe to the Locked On Clippers YouTube, and get us to 8,000 subscribers before the end of November. And of course, you can listen wherever you get your podcasts. Clipper Nation, will be patient. I'll see you on Monday against the Atlanta Hawks, and it's only going to get tougher this week. Atlanta, who beat the Lakers, then we got the Nuggets on Wednesday, and then a big road trip coming up. So it is going to be nervy time for us indeed. Because after that Nuggets game, it's at Dallas, at Boston, at Philly, at Orlando, at Charlotte, at Cleveland, and at the Lakers. And then we come back from Memphis and Dallas. And then it's at Miami, at Atlanta, at Memphis, at Minnesota, at OKC, and versus the Lakers and Rockets. So it's going to be hard every game. Hopefully Kawhi comes back soon, but he's not playing against Atlanta. The age-old proverb continues, go Clippers.